Hello, good morning students. Please subscribe the channel, drop a like, share and comment. This is Shree Vishnu Art Press Publications, exercise number 9 and 10 on the speed of 90 words per minute. Start. From the record of the case, it is evident that several letters have been written and or applications have been made by the petitioner making grievances about the threats administered to him and his family by the accomplices of the accused. However, it is an admitted position that no action is taken either by the S.P. Allahabad or by government of Uttar Pradesh either to afford protection to the petitioner and his family or to thwart such threats made by the accused and or their accomplices. It is relevant to notice that it was claimed by the prosecution that the driver of the deceased was an eyewitness, and it is the case of the petitioner that due to threats he turned hostile. The fact that the driver had turned hostile is not in dispute. The fact that in spite of the receipt of several summons, neither the petitioner nor his wife nor his family members nor other witnesses have been able to go to Haridwar to depose before the court is not denied by the state government. Therefore, this court is inclined to accept the case of the petitioner that he and other witnesses have not been able to respond the summons only because of fear to their lives due to the threats administered by the accomplices of the accused. There is no manner of doubt that because of chasing of the petitioner and his relatives by the accomplices of the accused, they have not been able to attend the court and tender evidence. If this situation continues, then the prosecution would not be able to lead any evidence in such a brutal murder case, and the accused will have to be acquitted. The record indicates that 4 accused have been already enlarged on bail, but neither the police nor the state agency has taken any steps for the purpose of getting their bail order cancelled. Above judgment clearly enunciates the importance of witness in criminal trial. This is a case of murder of a superintending engineer. There is no manner of doubt that brutal assault was mounted on him, which resulted into his death. The son of the deceased is seeking transfer of proceedings on the ground of coercion and threat to the witness as well as doubtful sincerity of the investigating agency and prosecuting agency. Ineffective cross-examination by public prosecutor of the driver who resiled from the statement made during investigation speaks volumes about the sincerity, effectiveness of the prosecuting agency. The necessity of fair trial hardly needs emphasis. The state has a definite role to play in protecting the witnesses, to start with, at least in sensitive cases. The learned judge has failed to take participatory role in the trial. He was not expected to act like a mere tape recorder to record whatever has been stated by the witnesses. Section 311 of the Code and Section 165 of the Evidence Act confers vast and wide powers on court to elicit all necessary materials by playing an active role in the evidence collecting process. We have considered the submissions made by the learned counsel. The High Court, upon close scrutiny of the evidence, concluded that there was evidence of a quarrel between the husband and wife about 6 months prior to the occurrence, which had been settled with the intervention of the eldest. There were complaints that the deceased did not know how to do any household work. The in-laws had also complained that she was not well-mannered. Their ill treatment of the wife escalated after the murder of her father by extremists. It was at that stage the husband had started demanding that the deceased should claim one of the 2 houses left behind by her father in village Nabipur. About 10 months prior to her death, she was actually sent by the appellants to demand possession of the house. The appellant and his parents were suspecting that the sister of the deceased, Manju Kaur, had taken everything after the death of the father of the deceased. The appellant and his parents were insisting that the house be legally conveyed in the name of the deceased. However, mother of the deceased left for England after the first death anniversary of her husband in May 1988. The High Court, on examination of the entire evidence, concluded that the deceased had not committed suicide on account of demands for dowry, but due to harassment caused by her husband in particular. The deceased had committed suicide by drinking phosphorus poison. In view of the findings recorded, the High Court converted the conviction of the appellant from 1 under Section 304B IPC to 1 under Section 306 IPC. We do not find much substance in the submission of Mr. Ashok that the High Court could not have convicted the appellant under Section 306 IPC as the charge had been framed under Section 304B IPC. On scrutiny of the entire evidence, the High Court has come to the conclusion that the deceased had not committed suicide on account of demands for dowry, but due to harassment caused by her husband in particular. The harassment by the appellant had compounded the acute depression from which the deceased was suffering after the murder of her father. There was no evidence of any demand for dowry soon before the death, and there was no demand whatsoever that the house in question should be transferred to either of the accused. Under Section 304B IPC, the cruelty or harassment by her husband or any relative of her husband or in connection with any demand for dowry is a prelude to the suicidal death of the wife. Such suicidal death is defined as dowry death. The High Court has recorded a firm finding that the harassment was not for or in connection with any demand for dowry. But at the same time, the High Court has concluded that the wife committed suicide due to the harassment of the appellant in particular. In such circumstances, the High Court was, therefore, fully justified in convicting the appellant under Section 306 IPC.